Hey y'all, it's Andrea from VW Family Farm, and today we are hauling hay, and I was just going to talk to you about something for a little bit. So let me first show you kind of what we got going on. There is a ton of hay back in that field, and we are hauling 100 bales up here to the house. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Somebody has had our land lease for a while, and we are getting some hay from them. We are fixing to take part of our land back and fence it in, and we've alluded to this in some other videos. We're going to be doing rotational grazing with a herd of beef cows. We don't know yet if we're going to be buying beef cows or if we're going to be running someone else's for part of the year. That's all still in the works, but we're going to be doing a series on that as we get that going. So we will keep you posted. Okay, so I thought I'd just take a few minutes while we're hauling hay. I'm actually driving the truck. Ben's driving the tractor. You may see him kind of out my windows a little bit. The kids are working in the barn getting things put in their place so he can get a lot of this hay put in the barn. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something that's kind of been on my mind lately. Ben and I've tossed this around quite a bit, but it's the idea of being, you've heard the term self-sufficient, self-sustainable, self-reliant. If you notice a trend in those words, it's self. It's kind of the idea of, in essence, you could shut the gate and just survive on your own. You could produce everything you need. You could get your farm going and it could sustain itself. And in a way, that's kind of how we practice things. That's why we have a boar and a sow, because we don't want to always have to be going and buying piglets. That's why we have our milk cows. We have them on a schedule of having babies and all that, to keep our milk going and all those kinds of things. So let me be honest, let me back up. The first few years we homesteaded, we worked ourselves into the ground. We worked daylight till dark, getting all these systems in place and all that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we didn't take a whole lot of time to stop and relax and smell the roses, so to speak. So I guess the whole point of this is just, we try not to use those terms anymore, because here's the deal. Even back in the old days, I love to read historical fiction. But even back in the old days, most people did a lot of things. Like, most people grew a garden. Most people had chickens. Some people, I'd say a lot of people had a milk cow. But not everyone was an expert in every field. They still had little towns along the way, even as the people were moving west and things. There were still little general stores and towns springing up all along the way. You might go for days without seeing one, but eventually when people came to a town, there was certain supplies that they would buy or barter for. Not everyone was an expert blacksmith. If you had a problem driving your covered wagon across the plains, yes, you needed to know how to do some minor repairs to get it to the next town, but then you might visit a blacksmith to make a permanent repair, or you might visit a livery or something like that. I'm just throwing things out there, but even back then, not everyone did everything. If you do everything and you could shut your gate and survive, that's wonderful. That's awesome. But just like, even I love to watch all of you off-grid people on YouTube. That's so interesting to me. I think it's awesome. I think that'd be so cool. But even if you're off-grid, if you're using gas, like if you have no solar and wind and all that, but you're using gas-powered things, like you're using a generator, or you're charging things on your vehicle or things like that, is gas really self-sustainable? You're either gonna have to stop using those things, or you're going to have to buy them or barter for them. Let's talk about internet. We're all using internet if we're uploading to YouTube, whether that's through your phone or whether that's through, you have internet at your house. And I'm not saying this to bash anybody who's using gas or internet. We use gas and internet. If you want electricity, get it. We have it. Do whatever you want. If you want to live off just oil lamps and Don't use any gas-powered appliances, no freezers, no nothing. Go for it. That is fine, awesome, whichever you want to do. My point is this: if we think we are self-sufficient, self-sustainable, to me, that's a little bit prideful, because here's my belief. I believe we need each other. This land of YouTube alone has taught us so much. There's so many of you that are better at things than we are, that we have watched so many of your videos and learned so many things. I feel like we are good at a lot of things here on our homestead. We provide a lot of our own meat, all of our own meat actually, vegetables. We have bees for honey. We have aquaponics in a greenhouse that grows food all year long. I milk cows, milk goats. We have chickens for eggs. We have just tons of things. I know I'm forgetting stuff, but we're by no means an expert in every field. And let me just give you an example. I showed you cleaning out my sweet potato bed a couple weeks ago. Back in the spring, we went to the Baker Creek Spring Planting Festival, and we were just really busy at the time. So we had not sprouted our own sweet potatoes, and it was time to plant them. So we went up there and we thought, you know what, why not? Let's just buy them this time. So, but a couple years ago, that would have killed us to bottom. We would have been like, no, we can go home and make time to sprout these ourselves. That's just how we started out. We worked daylight till dark. If it was something we could do, we did it. And we're just do-it-yourselfers by nature. We see things that others are doing and we think, we could do that, and we could actually do a little bit extra and sell it and probably pay for ours. That's just how we do things. I know there's other people that they eat healthy and they want to do all the natural things, but they're just fine with buying it all. We're just all different. But the point of this is, we need each other. We need each other for community and fellowship. We need each other for things we can barter between one another. We've just come to terms with the fact that we cannot do 100% of every single thing. There's still things we're going to barter with others for, and if there's something we do well, like we usually have chickens, honey, soap, and lotion and those things, and we'll trade those out with neighbors for different things. We've traded them out for crazy things like someone coming over and pounding posts in the ground for a fence we're building, things like that. So the point is this: I don't ever want to be self-sufficient, because sometimes myself fails, and self is lonely. We love having all of you as friends and acquaintances, and getting to know all of you, and getting to know all of those who are around us in real life. So, and also another thing I wanted to bring out that you may not have thought about is we are not in control. So the fact that yes, we could shut the gate and survive for a while, that in no way guarantees that you're going to have a healthy, long life with no help from anyone else. There's many of you on YouTube that we follow and watch faithfully that lately have lost loved ones. And I'm not talking about just one. There's several tragic stories going around YouTube. But that's how life is. It's unpredictable. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And to think that we are in control, we're just mistaken. We're fooling ourselves if we think we're in control. And that brings me to my last point. If we try to rely on ourselves all the time, we're cutting God out of the picture. And I just encourage you, if you're not at peace with God and in a right relationship with Him, I encourage you to do so, because that is the only way to have peace in this life. Because there is sickness, there's death, there's droughts, there's just any number of things that will throw a kink in your plans. And if you're relying on yourself all the time, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. But if you place your faith in God, He will not let you down. Even though you do walk through the valley sometimes, He is walking through the valley with you. So, I hope this spoke to someone. We'll see you on the next video. God bless.